Welcome to the Dr. Eric K. Coleman Show. If you have not already, please hit the like tab, hit the notifications button so that you can stay up to breast on all information that is coming your way pertaining to the content of the platform here on the Dr. Eric K. Coleman Show. And most of all, please subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dr. Eric K. Coleman, and for inquiries for one-on-one sessions, for speaking engagements, and just to submit general inquiries that you may be able to one day possibly have your question or comment reviewed and expounded upon on this platform, you can email me at drericcoleman@gmail.com. So now that we got all that housekeeping stuff out of the way, we have a very special guest in the building this morning, y'all. This is my ace. We've been through a lot together. We've discussed a lot. I ain't ashamed to say it. Or we've cried together. We threw one back together.
Yes, sir.
We just experienced life together.
Yeah, man.
This is my military buddy as well.
Man.
As you know, I'm prior Navy vet, and I'm not gonna hold it against him. You know, he's in that green stuff. He's Army in the Army. But nonetheless, this is my ace, and I'm just so blessed and fortunate to have him here today because we're gonna have some real discussion, y'all. It is nothing fake about him. It is nothing pretentious, nothing contrite. He doesn't make this stuff up.
I don't.
Again, we're just real men living in the real world, living real life. And right now, we're just going to have a real conversation about this paradigm shift that we've been talking about here on the platform of how we can change the narrative and thinking differently about our relationships. Not necessarily from the perspective of how do we change other people, but taking that introspective look on how we change ourselves, thus how it allows us to interact, engage, and enter into relationship with other people, whether it is children, family members, mothers, fathers, associates, co-workers, spouses, significant others, partners, whatever you want to call it. It's a relationship. And so that's what we want to talk about on today. So we just want to go ahead and chop it up. And again, thank you for joining me this morning, Avery.
I'm here, bro. What's up, man? What's going on? Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I really want to discuss today is getting into our backpacks that we carry around concerning how we view and interact in relationships.
Okay.
A question posed to you, sir, is what has influenced your perception as to what relationships are and what they're supposed to be?
Love and hip hop has changed a lot of people's perception on relationships. Social media definitely has changed a lot of people's relationships. And honestly, I don't think they're supposed to be like that. Sometimes you can look at certain situations on TV or on social media and you be like, hey, I want that. Yeah, that looks great. Or, you know, why can't I have that? But on the backside or the caveat on that is we don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
A couple that shapes who I am, a couple that I can look up to is you and Nikki. Because I've known you guys for forever. So, you know, like the way you guys' relationship is, like, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, I love it. Now, mind you, like I said, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And I mean, I know we all argue. I know we all have conversations about stuff, but the way you guys portray your relationship is wonderful. It's great.
Thank you, man.
But the biggest influence for me that has, like, shaped and molded who I am is honestly, like, my grandparents.
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah, so like my grandfather, he passed away almost like 30 years ago. God bless his soul. But my grandmother, she's still here. She's still around. She's 80. living a great life right now. But yeah, like them too. And despite all of that type of stuff, like mind you, they had their ups, their downs, their issues with cheating, alcoholism, back and forth type of things. They were married for, oh God, I think it was married for like 40 something years.
Well, that's like clearly unheard of nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
40-something years.
40-something years.
That's like crazy.
Right. And mind you, and that's why I said, mind you, my grandfather has been deceased for probably like 30-something years. So
wow.
They got married young. They got married really young. But yeah, their relationships and other relationships that I see that are like great and actually sit around and talk about things.
Yes.
It's about a self-reflection. So, it depends on what that person did, what you did, but more so it starts at home. But you're supposed to be in a relationship, or you're married, or you have a significant other, but at the end of the day, you're human.
Yes.
So, despite all the downfalls, it starts with a self-examination, and then how can you retain your relationship? You got to start with yourself. Right. But at the end of the day, you got to try to figure out how to keep things together versus falling apart.
And you said a key word there, self-examination.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually chapter 1 in the Paradigm book.
Mm-hmm.
Having this self-reflection with yourself.
Okay.
Trying to figure out, what is it about me? Excuse my grammar, but what about me ain't right?
Right. It's a lot of things about me that ain't right. So we're gonna touch on that later. But yeah, it's a lot of things about me that's not right.
And there's one quote at the end of it that I mentioned at the end of chapter 1 under self-examination. It's that is just who I am. This mindset of thinking is a complete and utter cop-out, an unwillingness to evaluate who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Better yet, it's an outright abandonment of individual responsibility and personal accountability. So I'm pretty sure we've all heard people say, well, that's just who I am, or that's just how I am.
Yeah.
I've had traumas and trials in my life, I'm gonna get a little churchy here. You hear it in the church where I've been through the storm and I've had the struggles, and I, what was it? On Color Purple, what she said? All my life I had to fight.
Like I got you.
Absolutely correct,
right.
And we acknowledge that.
Right.
And I think that's one of the key things in relationships is just acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
The person may not always be justified or correct in their frame of thinking,
right,
but just acknowledging where their feelings are.
Mm-hmm.
But then also they have to dwell in the reality to figure out what I am receiving right now, or what I am perceiving the situation to be. Is it actually even reality? Am I reacting?
Yes. Okay.
Based off my prior influences, my prior upbringing, stuff that I have experienced in life. I mean, let's face it, a lot of our stuff is rooted from childhood.
Oh man! All right, so let's start it this way. No one's childhood was like anybody else's.
Correct. We have our own story.
Yes, we have our own story. I mean, you talked about this.
Yes.
So me as a child, I lived with my grandmother for 14 years of my life. We already talked about that. I lived with my grandma for 14 years of my life, 14, 15 years, being uprooted going into my freshman year of high school. Had to move. It was a change. It definitely was a change. And I wouldn't say it was a change for the better or for the worse, but it was just a change. My grandmother is 45 years older than me. So me being down there, it was like cut her grass. You know what I'm saying? Like make sure things were good in the house. You got to kind of be like the man in the house or whatever else.
Yeah.
moving with my parents, it became a little different. So, mind you, from my mom, I have two younger brothers. So that changed because it was like I went from getting kind of much everything that I wanted versus nah, you can't have this week. You gotta wait.
You gotta share now.
Right, you gotta share. And I'm like, no, I don't want to share and this, that, third. But that was a change. But going back to the story, it changed for me when I moved with my mom, and then when I graduated from high school, it became a bigger change. You go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so in that regard, from living at home, living with your grandparents, and then living on college campus, I can clearly see the environmental change or environmental influence. But
the mental,
would you happen to know what the mental or the specific changes or the specific things that change your perspective on relationships?
People that I'm around. So, well, that's one thing. So the people that I'm around, so literally, I'm 35. So I've lived a pretty good life, a pretty long life for whatever right now. But listen, I told God, I said, God willing, if you help me live until 90, I'm gonna have a story. So I'm just trying to live until 90 or 100.
Sound like you got a story right now.
Yeah, listen, right. But you know, it's like the people that you're around. I told you and Nikki. I told you were my grandparents or whatever else. But at the end of the day, outside of that, nobody. And it's real messed up to say that, but going back to what we said previously, social media is a thing. These housewives of Atlanta and whatever else, it's a thing. Like love and hip hop, it's a thing.
And bro, I think you're hitting on something huge,
man,
right now, especially in the, and I can only speak again from my experience. This is something very huge in the African American community. For me, to whereas, what examples of healthy relationships have we seen or do we see?
It's rare.
From our past generation, from our grandparents, even to our parents.
Okay, so I hit it this way. Right. So I hit it this way, and I know this is about to be real controversial. So charge it to my head. Right, charge it to my head and not my heart. The relationships that we have in today's era versus what our grandparents had are totally different,
sir.
Totally different.
Totally.
So. Like I said, like my grandparents, like I love my grandparents to death. God bless my grandfather's soul. But at the end of the day, they dealt with trials and tribulations.
And they stayed together.
Regardless of what the situation was. So you see relationships now, so we're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to talk about mine. And you know mine. So at the end of the day,
let me take a drink on that.
Yeah. So we gonna talk about mine. We gonna talk about my ex relationship, whatever else. We just gonna be real. In my relationship, I would say this. And my ex, she's great. You know, she's great. But from a self-reflection standpoint, I messed up. That's just me.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait.
I messed up.
We want to make sure that wasn't a flicker in the system.
That wasn't a flicker.
What was that?
Listen. At the end of the day, in that aspect, now mind you, like I said, it's both type of relationships. Like I did some things and she did some things.
Yes,
but ultimately, I messed up.
Wow, that's
a revelation. Like I messed up. So it was. I'll say it this way. It was dumb things that people argue about. We get it. We cool. We could have got over it. It is what it is. But what I did was in the relationship, I stepped out. I stepped out multiple times. I stepped up. And I'm gonna ask you this question.
Okay.
What man wakes up in the morning and just like, yo, I'm gonna go cheat on my spouse?
Yeah,
from a man's aspect.
From human nature, right. Yes, we have the tendency and the aptness to do anything.
Yes.
But to your point, even when we're engaging in relationships, no one, I'm going to say the average person,
right,
just isn't going to say, how am I going to mess up my partner's or my spouse's relationship today?
Exactly.
I mean, you're right.
Exactly.
That's not a premeditated type deal.
Exactly. And even with all that type of stuff, like I said, I messed up. My communication wasn't as strong as it should have been. I didn't say things like, hey, you're bothering me, you're doing this, that, and the third, or you're spending more time over here and this, that, and the third. It is what it is. But at the end of the day in a relationship, I feel like I messed up.
And that's the only thing you can do, just take ownership for what you did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, like, mind you, like, yeah, I would get mad about certain things, and you know, I would try to spaz out certain times and everything else, which is, you know, in the moment you feel like you're right, but when you sit back and you have self-examination about things, you sit here and you be like, dang, like I should have handled that a totally different way, or maybe I should have called, or maybe I should be like, hey, well, you know what, you did X, Y, and Z, and this is bothering me. You mind if we have a conversation about it?
Well, let me elaborate on that point. Okay. When we do this retrospective look or this self-reflection, we have the shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Right. But didn't.
But didn't.
Right.
But in the moment of it, what would you say to our immediate responses? Because sometimes I believe as if we are automatically on a default mode, because I'm going to take it back to scripture. You know, we're a fallen humanity.
Right.
And we are creatures of habit when it comes to sin. We people don't. I don't care how churchy or Christ filled and Holy Ghost filled and saving. You know, you may think it is your nature, sin nature, human nature, in total battle and contrast with the spirit nature of the Holy Spirit that God has placed inside of us, that we still want to do wrong. So in this retrospective, are you able to tie back your immediate knee-jerk responses to confrontation, conflict, disagreements, arguments, your feelings and your emotions, of how you responded in those times to whatever it is you did, what you did, with your past influences and models in relationship? Do you see any correlation? I'm not speaking specifically of causal, but any type of correlation to where I did X, Y, and Z in my adult years as to what I experienced in my earlier childhood years, based on what you said, those 3 stages of being at home, then being with your grandparents, then being on college. I got you. So, your influences, you know.
Okay, so we've been friends for years.
Yes.
More than 10. One thing about me that you know, I don't like conflict. I can't stand conflict.
I know that.
and to the women that are listening out here, and men, I know y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy, like, why did you say that? But I'm gonna just be honest. Men do not like conflict.
No, we do not.
We hate conflict. So
we don't want drama.
Right. We hate drama. We don't like doing stuff like that. So mind you, when men have a tendency to lie, or when men or when men sit here and men like try to like push it off or do something else or whatever, that's just a mechanism in us because we don't like conflict. Or, you know, we just want to sit here and I'll give you an analogy. Men like to be with women or men or whoever they want to be with. Men like to be with their partner, but men also like to be by themselves.
Oh, that sounds like a complete dichotomy here.
Listen, right? Like so,
how do you rationalize that?
Okay, so I say it this way: men like to sit here and be with their partner or be at home and take care of home. That's what men are always supposed to do. Y'all supposed to take care of the home.
Yeah, take care of the home, protectors and providers.
Right, but at the same time, men like to do what they want to do, or men like to, have their own personal time and everything else. So, with that being said, like I said, talking about me, I used to like sitting at home. I love playing with my kids, but then the human side of me, hey, I want to go out to the bar, or hey, I want to go hang out with these people, or I was outside and somebody said hey to me, and I was just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, so with all of that being said, it's kind of like men are, and we was talking about it earlier, men are who they are. But at the same time, do you look at it from a human nature, or do you look at it biblically?
Amen.
Right. So it's like, okay, at the time, it's like, how do you sit here and take care of home and do what you're supposed to do with your kids and do what you're supposed to do with your family, but then, hey, I want to go outside and I want to go do this and I want to go do that, but then you have a person saying, no, you can't do that. Your mind starts to shift.
Yeah,
it's a different type of paradox.
Right, because it's a big shift in our thinking.
Yeah,
that human nature to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it.
Exactly,
and that's that single mindset.
But
and again, but when you come into a relationship, you can't have that single mindset. But that is hard to deprogram.
Exactly. So like, okay, I'll say this. Yes, it's good for you to have two different types of friends. You can have, or you should have, married friends, and you should have single friends. Now, if you, like, let's just say you and your wife are out, or you and your husband are out, and you have married friends or whatever that's having like a cookout or a get together, there's nothing wrong with hanging out with them.
No, not at all.
But if you got friends that it's like, hey, let's all go out to the strip club. Oh, okay, cool. We hanging out with our single friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. I mean, I just gotta be honest. It is what it is. But it's saying like you just have to have like two certain types of friends. Like you have to know, okay, these friends are cool with this. These friends are cool with this. If these friends aren't cool with this, if they are, let's hang out with them. If they're not cool with this, let's hang out with them. You see what I'm saying? It becomes you just have to know where you fit in, who fits in with what, who's comfortable with what, and you just go ahead and live your life. Now, like I said,
and I was like, from a recreational perspective,
yes,
absolutely.
Like, and that's what I'm saying.
When we get into the realm of, okay, I need to come to them to seek wise counsel about relationships.
I'm one of my married friends. I'm going to my married friends. Like, and this is the thing about it. And this is the thing about it that makes it so hard and so difficult. You have friends that you've been friends with for like the longest time.
Yeah.
Like 14, 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they're single. Mind you, they're single for a reason. And I hate to say it that way, but like I said, this is gonna be a controversial conversation. You're single for a reason. At the end of the day, like when I was like, and we still talk. So it's like when I go through my trials and my tribulations and everything else, I come talk to you.
Yeah. Because
one, we're friends.
Yeah.
But two, you're married.
Yes.
You understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
I'm not going to talk to my single friends about that. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you got friends and they be like, oh, well, yeah, boy, yeah, girl, leave that dude and such. How can you give me advice or give me wise counsel when you're not in the same type of relationship that I'm in?
Amen.
So, and again, like I said, it all turns out, or it all comes out to be, how do you want to do it, or how are things portrayed? Friends are friends, family is family. But at the end of the day, I gotta know, okay, if I'm going through this and I'm going through that, let me talk to my married friend.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
you know, if I'm just going through something now, if you got like a boyfriend or girlfriend, now this is where the paradox really shifts. You can talk to married friends too, but you gotta know which ones you need to talk to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just be honest. You can sit here and you can talk to people and this, that, and the third. But you can talk to people that are in relationships and that have been in relationships. Like, mind you, my mom and my stepfather, but that's my dad because he raised me since I was 5. So, you know, I have 2 fathers. At the end of the day, they've been married for about 30-something years. Cool.
That's a blessing.
That's a blessing. But if I'm sitting here and I'm talking about a relationship, hate to say it, parents, for one, usually are biased.
They want to protect their child.
Exactly. Regardless of who's right or who's wrong. Brother, sister, cousin, whatever else, you want to protect your own. So it's kind of like in my struggles or everything else, I never talk to my parents about my relationship. You just have to know who you're talking to, how they're talking to you, and how things are perceived. Because it's crazy and it's funny. The way people talk to other people, regardless if the message is right or wrong, stands out and speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't like this person, this, that, and the third. This person is da-da-da-da. Okay, but you do realize that's my partner. You know what I'm saying? Or you do realize like that's my girlfriend. Or hey, you got a female's parents, what I'm talking about, that hey, you do realize like that's my man. Like you have to put up boundaries.
Yeah.
There always have to be boundaries put forth, or there always have to be some type of, let's just say, boundaries put. You always have to have some certain type of boundaries, because when you marry a person or you decide to be in a relationship with a person, the relationship should only be between you and that person.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be between you and your mama and your daddy and your grandma and your auntie
and social media.
Right.
Everybody got a piece of the relationship.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, certain people, like I said, man, like you just have to be careful who you talk to and how things are perceived also. Because like I said, and I would say that was a downfall. Honestly, I can say that was the downfall with my relationship. One of the downfalls of my relationship. My mom used to say certain things. She used to say certain things. And I always used to be like, hey, if y'all got a problem and y'all got an issue with each other, that don't got nothing to do with me. Y'all two need to have a conversation and talk it out. I don't want to talk to your mama. I don't want to talk to that girl. Why? And y'all keep bringing me in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to keep
trying to mediate.
Right, y'all trying to have me mediated, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I love you. I love you. I don't want to be caught up in that. Y'all got to have a conversation. Why y'all don't want to have a conversation with each other? Because y'all afraid that it's going to get real? Like, and that's the thing about it. People in relationships have to find a median. Okay, I love you too. You ain't got to sit here and talk to her. She ain't got to sit here and talk to y'all. But regardless if y'all around each other, we having dinner at my house or we having dinner at y'all house, y'all got to at least respect each other.
Yes.
Y'all got to have some type of, hey, how you doing? Or, hey, how you doing, baby? And leave it alone. But y'all can't sit here and argue all the time and everything. So that's why I'm saying, trust me, it gets to a point where you don't want to talk. You don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you need to go talk to your mama. Oh, you need to go talk to your ex or this, that, and the third. Why? Y'all two can have a conversation with each other. Why I got to be always in the middle? I don't like that. And which is what we were saying, like you asked before. I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work for me. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all got to come to a median or, okay, well, you ain't got to talk to her. She ain't got to talk to you. When she got the kids, that's fine. When we got the kids, that's fine. Y'all ain't never got to speak to each other day in your life. And And I mean, it is what it is. Y'all ain't gotta talk to each other, but if y'all around each other,
but just be cordial for the sake of the children.
Yes, be cordial because of the kids. And that is another thing, but we'll get on that later. Kids see everything.
Yeah, and that goes back to our initial statement about how we're programmed and how we approach relationships.
Yeah,
because we've seen this stuff when we were kids.
So I'll say it this way, and this is one of the first times I've admitted it. Well, you've heard it, but this is the first time I've admitted it out in the public. Me, I'm broken. I'm broken.
Well, there you have it, folks.
listen. Hey, I'm being honest. I'm broken.
Hey, and broken people have sharp edges.
Yes,
and we cut others
and hurt people.
We hurt other people.
Yeah,
hurt people.
And I would say this.
Yeah,
I'm broken. And the reasons why I'm broken are because of this. Certain relationships that I've seen that haven't worked out, arguing, fighting, cussing each other, social media. I had to put, honestly, for the longest time, I had to put my social media down.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first page ended up getting hacked. I don't know what happened, but you know what? That honestly was probably like one of the best things that happened to me. Hurt people. Now, mind you, it comes to a point in time where, from a self-reflection point of view, you have to figure out if you're hurt, why you are hurt, what caused your hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there are many facets that come into it, like a relationship. My mother and my biological father were never married.
Mm-hmm.
I think it started there. They were never married. My mom and my stepfather been married for 30 years. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Certain friends that I've been around from high school to now, the majority of my friends now are married. Great. Love them to death. Love their relationships. Like, you got you and Nikki. You got Ronte and Turquoise. You got Lou and his girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all all are together. Everybody's together. Everybody's cool. Everybody has their relationships, but everybody also has the backside or the dark side of their relationships and stuff too.
Yeah, stuff that people don't see, people don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, and it's funny, at the end of the day, I've always been one of them people like, if you don't like me, just be like, yo, you don't like me. Don't sit here, right. Don't sit here in public. Don't sit here in public and try to play, oh, hey, babe, you want this, that, and third, this, that, and third. My response is going to be, why are you asking me that? You just didn't like me 5 minutes ago. But when we show up in public, hey, babe, right. Like, hey, babe, you want this, that, and the third?
Hey, we on at that point. Right. We on.
Right.
You know,
we got a license.
Yeah. Lights, camera, action.
Right. So, but I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, my perception to certain things is crazy. And that's why I said, me, myself, like, I'm broken. Like, I used to be the guy that used to sit at home, but then when I used to go to work in DC, hey, what's up? You want to go to lunch? Nah, I'm cool. And then after a while, sure, let's go to lunch. And then one thing used to lead to another one. But like I said, and this is me jumping all over the place, but it's just like me as a whole, mind you, I go to therapy now. I'm cool.
Good. I was just about to ask you about that perspective. That's good. That's good.
And I honestly feel like this. I feel like, so like I said, for all of mankind, but especially the Black community, I feel like regardless of who is going through what, I feel like every African American man and woman needs to go sit on the couch.
Bruh.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like everybody needs to go sit on the couch. Because at the end of the day,
go sit on the couch.
Yeah, go sit on the couch. Listen, go sit on the couch, have your feet up, talk to somebody. Because it's crazy. Because in our culture, when you say, hey, you need to go see a therapist, I'm not going to go see no therapist.
Yeah.
What I need therapy for?
I got Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus is the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got Jesus. Jesus is my provider, this, that, and third. But yeah, but.
That's a cop-out.
Right. Go, listen, I feel like everybody needs to go sit on the couch. Because every African-American, or just people in general, every person in America or worldwide has gone through some type of trauma.
Yes, every person has gone through some type of trauma.
Yeah.
No matter if you were born into poverty, no matter if you were born into middle class, no matter if you were born affluent and privileged, there's still trauma on all levels. Yeah. And everyone, as you quoted, everyone needs to sit on that couch.
Everybody,
whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, it doesn't matter.
Blue, red, orange, purple, white.
Yeah,
you need to go sit on the couch because, and I'm telling you this just from my own personal perspective.
I like that.
You need to go sit on the couch because counselors or therapists have certain things that they help you work through.
Yes, they do.
And and people fail to realize when you go talk to therapists and stuff, your first initial session is for them to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
And it may be a conversation just like this one. Hey, what's going on with your day today? Mm-hmm. Okay, how's your love life? They sit here with a pen and a pad and they sit here like, okay, he has commitment issues. He has issues where he doesn't feel like he can trust anybody.
And they can tell just in your in my past history in healthcare, we call it the ADLs, the activities of daily living. Mm-hmm. When you're sitting on that couch and you just walking through your day, they can tell right off the bat, just based off of how you move through the day, what your issues are.
like I'm telling you, they was like listen, like I went there and I tell you, I went my first time in therapy, and I've been in therapy for probably like a good month and a half.
Good.
They know I have sleep apnea because I don't sleep at night. But we all have one thing about military people, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth.
Public service announcement.
We all have sleep apnea in some type of way. We all sleep. The military teaches you that you only need 4 hours of sleep. They don't have to be consecutive.
Yes, they do.
That's what they teach you. But I need 8 hours of sleep now. So, but like I walked in the door, you have sleep apnea. You had commitment issues. You felt like that you had to validate yourself to everybody, and you don't have to. That you felt like you had to validate yourself to everybody.
And see, that's the thing. What we feel like versus reality.
Yes. And so I'm gonna say it this way, and I'm not gonna curse, but I'm gonna say it in ways that people can understand. At the end of the day, my therapist was like this. Why do you care so much of what people think?
Wow.
Why? And I was like, well, I don't know. You have to get to the point where you say to yourself, F what everybody thinks, I'm just going to live my life. Because guess what? At the end of the day, you only get one life to live. So you got to ride this thing out as long as you can. You always have trials, tribulations. Mm-hmm. You have your ups, your downs.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, why care what people think? You got to sit here and you just got to, okay, well, just like my relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay, you messed up. Do you care what people think? Yeah, I care what people think. Okay, but guess what, though? It's a lesson in it. You got to think about the lesson. Everything that we go through, whatever in life, regardless if it's cheating in a relationship or losing a job or not working it out with friends, there's a lesson in
Absolutely,
everything.
Sir. Lesson in everything. Yeah.
So,
because if you don't learn the lesson,
you're going to keep going through,
and then you go through another situation, you jump to another situation, or if you don't learn what you're supposed to learn on one job and you switch jobs, you still gonna hit the same brick wall because you never learned the lesson.
Exactly. So that's one thing that my therapist told me. And mind you, he's a I think he's like white and Italian and something like that. But I promise you would think he's a brother. I promise you. Like he walks like us, he talks like us, but he's a real dude. He's a real guy. And he was like, you gotta stop caring about what people think.
Yeah.
You just gotta live your own life, because it's like at the end of the day, okay, you messed up in this relationship. What can we do from this point to build you to your next relationship?
Because people will hold over your head your past.
So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, you gotta learn. You have to learn your life lessons. You have to sit here and embrace everything that you're going through. You got to sit here and, okay, I messed up. Like I said before in my relationship, I messed up. I'm not a perfect person. I made a mistake. That doesn't make me a bad human being. I was reading something. I think it was either this morning or it was last night. It was B. Simone. B. Simone was on. I read the article first, but then I looked at it. It was on YouTube. She said, and I'm gonna ask you this question: Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest human beings in the face of the planet.
I know where we going.
Yep. One of the greatest civil rights leaders on the face of the planet.
Yes, sir.
She said that he was not a good man because he cheated on Coretta. Now let's go there.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go there.
Let's go.
Martin Luther King Jr. Now I understand where she's coming from. I get it. She said that people say, well, he was a great man, he was a great businessman, he was a great CEO. But she said, no, he wasn't, because, how was you a great man and you cheated on me, but you're supposed to be the example? I get that. I understand that. But because he made a mistake and he cheated on Coretta, does that not make him a great man what he did for civil rights? Does that not make him a great man what he did in other different things? But now watch this. Now this leads back to the conversation that we had before. Through all of those trials and tribulations that they had together, she still stayed with him.
Yes, she did.
In today's world,
yes, she did.
Oh no, you ain't staying.
Yes, she did.
Why you not gonna stay?
Yes, she did.
Because he cheated on me. I want the truth. Do they really want the truth? Because sometimes the truth can hurt worse than a lie can.
The truth really hurts. Yes.
Yeah, the truth can hurt worse than a lie can.
Because a lot of times when we talk about the truth, truth is meant to better someone. At the same time, truth has to be given in a way that it is loving and it will be received by the other person.
Exactly. Versus sitting here making me, you gotta tell me the truth now.
Yeah.
So, but going back to the point, how do you feel on the aspect where B. Simone was like, Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest men in history, is not a good man because he cheated on Coretta?
So that's a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up, because when we talk about this word called good, or when people use this word good synonymously with the word great, we know that the only good and only great man who ever walked the face of this earth was that of Jesus the Christ.
Right, gotcha.
And the Greek Hebrew word for good is this word called tov, T-O-V.
Okay, tov.
And tov means anything that is centered around, supported by, and operating in the function as to what God has created.
Okay.
So when Christ was walking here on this earth, he was straight up tov.
Oh yeah.
Because he was operating in the function of what he came to this earth to do. So when we talk about man, going back to the book of Genesis, when we were first created by God, we were created by, we were supported by God, and we were operating in the function as if we were created.
Exactly. Okay.
When the fall happened, all hell broke loose.
Yeah, that it did.
And so we got into our own self-righteousness. It was all about us. So again, when we talk about what Miss Simone stated about the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Was Dr. King a good man?
I'm gonna say he was a great man, but that's just my opinion. But I got you.
I will say that it was clear that we, by his actions and his words and what he stood for, we would assume and perceive that he was a man that was filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
We would perceive that he was a man who had accepted Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Savior.
He was a man of God.
We would assume that he is a man of God.
Yeah.
And so by that alone, by the righteousness that was imputed onto him by the finished work of Christ and the Holy Spirit living inside of him, from that standpoint and that standpoint alone, was he deemed good? Because no one is deemed good aside from Jesus the Christ.
Right.
So in that regard, absolutely. Now, was he a good or a great man in all aspects of his life? No.
He was human. Right. He was human.
It's called that sanctification walk.
Right.
Right. He was dead wrong.
Yeah, he was wrong. He admitted he was wrong.
And I'm pretty sure the Lord dealt with him greatly.
Yes.
With his habitual shortcoming in committing adultery. Let's just call it what it is. He cheated. He called adultery. He did it more than once.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day,
you can't discount an entire human being.
Right. For one downfall.
When we want to prioritize adultery, or even in our community today in the church, we want to place homosexuality at the top of the list. But let's go down the list as Christ did. What about adulterers? What about liars? What about thieves?
Stealing,
What about people who slander other people? What about anger issues? What about gossiping? What about backbiting?
But you know
what about all that other stuff?
Right, but you know what's funny though? People that and this is definitely about to be controversial. And me and you talked about this too. All of these things that you just mentioned, right? When you go to church, you see all of the same things.
But see, that's the thing. We want to point out and put a hierarchy on the things that are tangible as far as adultery and homosexuality. But what's more dangerous, the concealed or the revealed?
The concealed is more dangerous.
Because the concealed controls what you do.
Exactly. Even in my past transgressions and everything else. Like all I do now is sit at home. That's it. I don't go nowhere. And if I do go somewhere or whatever, like I'm actually just like sitting here talking to my guys, go to the harbor, sitting here talking to my guys, going out the Top Golf, sitting here talking to my guys, just doing everything else. Some people believe me, some people don't. It is what it is.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. But, at the end of the day, going back to the whole Martin Luther King thing, that man put in a lifetime of work. And Martin Luther King died, I guess he was 37, 38?
Yeah, late 30s.
Yeah, late 30s, like 37, 38 or whatever else. But his one transgression, can you actually say that man did nothing because of his?
You cannot discount his life.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay,
and his contribution.
Right,
you can't
so
discount that.
We just put all of his infidelity and stuff. Well, we just put it all in one bag. But outside of that, I get it, and I understand what she's saying.
And again, that goes back to the whole essence of triggers, trauma, past hurts, influences, upbringing,
exactly,
environment. As to that is, and again, everyone has their own right to that, so far as what are disqualifiers.
Right.
But even when we talk about in the book are your disqualifiers, is your expectation of other people so unrealistic to where you're saying that somebody was not great because they committed adultery. However, somebody else can come back in the same token and says she's not great because she walked off the stage because of mental illness, and leaving her team members to carry on without her. And so again, I understand her situation because again, what we were saying earlier, mental health is a huge thing in the African American community.
Mental health is real.
However, someone else can judge her with that same lens of saying you stepped away when people needed you the most because of your self-care, which nothing is wrong with self-care, but we got to be very careful who we deem and say who is and who is not great because of the issues and stuff that they're dealing with in their life. And there could be very well be things in Simone's life that no one even knows that she's dealing with behind closed doors.
I'll give you a better example. It's a thin line between love and hate. There's a very thin line between love and hate. I mean that because, I'm saying that because of this. If you're doing everything that people want you to do, or you're doing things or whatever that they feel like you should be doing, they love you for it. The first time that you step out of line and they figure it out, then that love turns into hate.
It turns into hate. Absolutely.
Just like,
because you're no longer the model anymore. You're no longer what I aspire to be. You're no longer perfect in my eyes. You're no longer on my pedestal. In relationships, even when there is hurt and pain, no one wants to even think about or talk about reconciliation and restoration anymore. No one even wants to talk about, I know you hurt me, but let's try to work through it as our elders have done in those relationships. Or even let's reconcile, let's restore the relationship. Let's do the work to get back to where we once were. And to your point, that friends and family and the public eye is so quick to drop people and turn their back on people when they, let's be honest, when they do human things.
Right. And that's what I mean by that, because I'm just like, not to go on a ramble, but what I mean by that is, instead of you sitting here and if somebody tells you a story, okay, let me reach out to this other person. Hey man, but you did that. Because, like I said, we've been friends for years. Hey man, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, like we need to.
Like we good. Like like, yo, bro. Like,
there's side A, side B. Now we need the truth.
Right. So it's like, yo, what's up, bro? You alright? You good? This, that, and the third. Like, yo, you need help with something? Like, like, come talk to me. This, that, and the third. Me and you had some conversation.
Yes, sir.
But with those friends, hey, what's up? What's going on? Man, I don't even mess with you like that no more. You did her dirty. Instead of you sitting here asking, what happened?
Yes.
Or, hey, do you need help? Or, hey, regardless of what goes on, we had a friendship outside of y'all relationship. It always just turns back to be, I ain't messing with you no more. And mind you, these are people that I was friends with for 12, 13 years. I had friendships with them. Or supposedly I thought I had friendships with them.
Yeah.
But it was just so quick to turn around and just be like, I don't mess with you no more. If somebody is going through something, regardless of what it is, and they're truly your friend, ask them if they need help.
Absolutely, sir.
Because at the end of the day, you never know. You helping somebody, one can save their life.
Yes.
You never know, like we were talking about earlier, mental health is real. You never know if somebody's feeling like jumping off a cliff.
Absolutely.
Or crashing their car. Or
because guilt is real.
Yeah, guilt is real. Or, like some people, whatever, may sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm going to end it all and I'm going to just take everybody else with me too. So if I can't be here, nobody else can be here. You have to realize at the end of the day, when people messed up, all men are flawed, regardless of what goes on.
All women, all men.
All
women are
women,
flawed.
all people,
Everybody. We're all flawed.
Right. All people are flawed. But at the end of the day, like I said, quit perpetrating like, you're friends or whatever because, my best friend is in this relationship, so I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to ride out with her. No, you can't do that. You have to sit here. If you're really friends with somebody, hey, I'm your friend. I'm going to hold you down regardless, like you did, like Nikki did.
And that goes into show, how much do we really value our relationships?
I don't think we value relationships anymore.
Because if you value, you'll do what's necessary. You'll put the work in to try to restore it, to reconcile, to salvage it.
Right. And that's the thing about it though. So with that being said, you can forgive and you can forget. Right? You can forgive and you forget. True forgiveness, and at the end of the day, true forgiveness isn't for the other person. True forgiveness is for you. If you forgive somebody and everything else, regardless of what goes on, okay, well, you cheat on me. It doesn't mean you have to forget anything.
Amen.
But at the same time, if I forgive you,
okay, you're no longer holding it over that person's head.
Exactly. We're going to start from a new slate. How can we figure this stuff out? Where can we go forward from this? Do you think we should go to counseling? That's why I said everybody should sit on the couch. I think we should go to counseling. I think we should do this. I think we should have an open type of relationship where we can talk about any and everything. Be honest. Just be honest about the whole situations and relationships. Like, at the end of the day, relationships are what you make them to be.
Yeah.
You can't sit here every day and be like, well,
they're not organic. They just don't grow on their own.
Yeah, right. But that's what I'm saying. Relationships take time.
Yes.
Relationships take effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yes.
With that being said, it just comes to a point where it's just like, if you know that person isn't for you, just step out the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, okay, I don't like this thing about a person, but you value your friendship, hey man, listen, I got a problem with you sitting here lying about certain things. Like, okay, you're a great person, you're a superstar. But at the end of the day, bro, you got to stop lying. Or sis, you got to stop lying about certain things, because guess what? I don't sit here and I'll mess with life.
Yeah.
I'd rather you tell me that, or I'd rather you tell somebody that versus sitting here and leading them on.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you just cut them off and they sitting here like
what happened?
What happened? There is a lesson in everything that you do. There is certain situations and certain aspects where you sit here and you have to take self-evaluation and self-reflection. Mm-hmm. There are certain things or whatever that you have to see here. We're talking about childhood traumas. Like I said before, I'm broken. I get it, but I'm working out my brokenness. And I'm one of the people, whatever, that can admit saying, hey, I'm broken. I need help.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, man, I appreciate your time on today.
Man.
It has been a true blessing, a true honor to have my brother here with me on today to talk about the importance and the intricacies of relationships and how they need to be cultivated. I just want to thank my special guest on today.
Appreciate y'all for having
Mr.
me, man.
Avery Graham.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you, man.
For joining us.
Yes, sir.
The Dr. Eric K. Coleman Show. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Dr. Eric K. Coleman and hit me up at Gmail, Dr. Eric K. Coleman at gmail.com for inquiries, to schedule one-on-one sessions, and for speaking engagements.